And here we are. Streaming. I call this commenting on the decline of Western civilization, and today is a big collapse downward. Just a big, big collapse downward. Cotton, how you doing? Eggs D, good to see you. Today was Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. Austin writes, good to see you, Austin. How's it going, comrade? It's been a long day. Looking forward to listening to the stream. I mean, I have had a very depressive week. I think one of them is pretty personal, and so I won't get too much into it, but I've been talking to a person from the United States recently, and it's given everything a very personalized edge. Peanut Butter Beatrice, how you doing? The two stories of the week. The two stories of the week are Trump's big, beautiful bill, which is a disaster for America. It's a disaster for literally everyone. Like, this is what makes me convinced that these people are just not only like homicidal psychopaths, but just incredibly dim-witted morons. They genuinely believe, like they really do think that somehow this is going to benefit them. Like, it's just as pathetic as it gets. These people are enormous losers. That they will see no change in the quality of their life. Nothing will change for the people who are these quote-unquote beneficiaries of this bill. Peanut Butter Beatrice writes, I hope you at least had a lovely date last week. Yeah, dating has gotten very... I can talk about dating at some point during this stream, if you like. I'm just tired of being someone's, like, learning experience, you know? It's just this, like, over and over and over again, like, wow, you seem like such a great guy, but it's making me realize that I'm not ready to date. And it's just like, okay, cool. Like, man, it sucks that it took you, like, 4 dates and, like, conversations and, like, talks to figure that out. Like, that really sucks. And it happens, like, over and over and over again. So it's just like, yeah. Hail Tosis over on Twitch. Dating isn't worth it, bro. I'm starting to feel that. I'm starting to feel that way. It's just like... I just think everything is too disastrous. Like, it's just too much. Like, nobody has their shit together. That's over. Like, having your shit together is just over. Like, it's not there. And so the tiny, insignificant portion of the populace that's able to, like, get together and have 1.2 kids or whatever is happening, like, great. But then I, like, dip into their lives and I take a look at what they have to do in order to get there, and it's insane. Like, it is insane. Like, people I care about, I, like, look at their lives and I'm like, oh, like, this, in order to have literally one child, two people have to sacrifice literally everything. And it's just like, it's insanity upon insanity in this failed society that doesn't function. And now more and more we're seeing with Trump's beautiful bill, big beautiful bill, that it's failure on purpose. It's self-destruction. It's intentional. They know that they're doing it and they want to do it. They're happy to do it. Like, the idea that we're going to have a civil society, especially in the United States, like, it's just cartoonish at this point. Like, and everyone seems fine with it. Yeah, poor kids stand to inherit nothing. I feel bad for parents. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel bad for the parents who are, like, aware and who are, like, there being like, man, I had these kids and we're just leaving a total disaster for them. Just a fundamental collapse. but I mean, it's very eye-opening. Like, you think about, like, the MAGA people, like the Nazis, right? Like, these Nazis, like, at least the Nazis thought that what they were doing was to help their children, right? At least the Nazis were saying, this is for the glory of Germany. At least the Nazis were saying, like, this is going to help our civilization and we will be strong. At least they thought that, right? Whereas the modern, like, MAGA Nazis and the Republican Nazi Party, like, they don't give a shit about their children. Like, it's incredible. Like, it's incredible how these people do not care about their own children. And I've said that over and over again. That's what's staggering. I think that's what people, like, should there be humans in the future, should there be a historian in the future who's actually interested in looking back on this time period, I feel like the question they're going to constantly be asking is, like, how did humanity get to the point where they gave up on their own children? Where they just said, okay, well, this idea of improving things for the next generation, right? The idea that we've had for 10,000 years, like, throughout all human history, there's been this pervasive, like, thumping of a drum. Just this pervasive, like, over and over again, make things better, make things better. The next generation has it better. The next generation has it better. Like, people will literally, like, sacrifice their own lives in order to pursue this idea and pursue this agenda that my children's lives will be better than mine was. And there's this constant thrum forward, this constant thrum that is broken with the boomer generation. That the boomer generation is the first generation in human history to say, I hope my children die. I hope my children rot in hell. I despise my children, and I want to leave a hellscape for them. And we're really going to have big, gigantic studies, and, like, it's going to be it's going to be like 100 years of study to be like, what the fuck happened with the boomers? And my theory is television propaganda, that the human mind was not designed to take in information in this manner. That television propaganda has essentially rotted a generation and turned them into vampiric ghouls, more or less, that who are willing to just utterly decimate and destroy everyone's lives, including the lives of their own children, for nothing. Like, for nothing. I think that's what's really important to point out. Like, it would be one thing if we were being asked to sacrifice for some kind of glorious cause. It would be one thing if we were being asked to go forward and fight and sacrifice so that our children's lives would be better. It would be one thing if that's what was being proposed, but that's not what's being proposed. What's being proposed is literally just a society saying, fuck you, I hope you all die. And that's it. Period. End of statement. It isn't like, oh, I'm going to get a whole lot more wealth and money and that will improve my quality of life, therefore. Like, none of that exists. That's all nonsense. It's literally just, hey, we had children to betray them. That's what's happening. Hey, I had a child specifically so that I could throw it in a gutter. Like, that's why I think these people are so, like, quote-unquote pro-life. That's why I think that they are so desperate to ensure that every child is born. Because they want to betray them. Right? And, like, the question that we're going to be asking for, like, hundreds of years, it's going to be a long, long time. And it's the question that I'm asking now, and I expect that future generations will consistently ask it. Which is, how did we become so ghoulish? How did we become so desperately evil that we turned against ourselves and our own children? Like, how have we done this? How is it that the human soul and the human consciousness has been deleted? And that instead of actually saying, like, the very fact that there is even a conversation happening about the idea that everyone should have food and shelter, the very fact that that is happening, that we're genuinely saying, and there's actually people who are saying no to the question, everybody should have food and shelter, right? This is a desperate flashing red light for humanity, for the future of mankind, for the future of stable ecosystems and stable life on this planet, that there is literally anyone saying no, and that the response to a person saying no to that isn't to put them in prison and a re-education center to try to get them to recognize their base humanity and their base empathy. That's not the instantaneous response, and that we haven't already done this. Like, we're in a catastrophic moment. Like, Trump's beautiful bill is going to last, like, 50 years. It's going to ruin the lives of an entire generation, which seems to be the point. That seems to be the goal, right? They need desperate people so they can kidnap them and send them to Epstein's Island so that they can rape little girls all day, right? So that they can have their creepy little pedophile cult. And we're all just supposed to be like, oh man, I guess we'll get him next year, right? I guess we'll vote for the other genocidal maniac party. The other genocidal maniac doesn't want to have like a gauche, you know, what are they calling it? Alligator Alcatraz, alligator Auschwitz, right? They don't want to erect just like a shitty fence they want to have an industrialized prison system, right? That's what they want. So it's just failure after failure after failure after failure after failure, and the failure is on purpose. And what's so embarrassing from the perspective of the ruling class, who are just demented, ridiculous sycophants. Like these people have lost the right to govern and have lost the right to rule, and they rule only through violence and force. Right? Like this Zohan Mamandi guy, like, yeah, wait until they put a bullet in his back. Like, that's what's coming for these guys. Like, if you think these guys are going to just stand there and be like, well, I guess the people, they sure did decide it. Boom, boom, boom. Like, how do you think this is going to go, kids? Like, there's no law. There's no rule of law. Like, what are you talking about? It's over. It's finished. It's complete. The Nazis won. And now the Nazis are doing Nazi shit. And we're all standing there being like, boy, I just don't understand why the Nazis are acting like Nazis would act. Because they're Nazis. Like, I very recently just gave up on socialist action, Barry, all that. Because he's just clownishly trying to convince people that this isn't Nazism. The Trotskyists exist for the CIA. That's what they do. They're just intelligence agencies at this point. They just take what the intelligence tells them and they just disseminate that into the public. And we're all supposed to be like, yeah, this is real Marxism, all right, yuckles. Here's some real Nazis. Absolutely, we shouldn't be arming ourselves. Like, get fucked. Arm yourselves. Arm yourselves. Now is the time. If you have not armed yourself, arm yourself. And I'm not talking, like, abstractly. I'm saying, if you don't have a weapon in your vicinity, get one. Like, arm yourselves. These guys are Nazis. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop here. You understand? This is the beginning of the game. And the best you will ever see, the best any of you in America will ever see, and the best anyone in Canada will ever see, is a party who are willing to go, no, we're just going to make sure it stays exactly like this and maybe slowly declines over time. Just slowly, slowly, slowly. That's the best you'll ever get. That if the entire country rallies and elects a Democrat into the White House a supermajority in the House, supermajority in the Senate. The best you'll ever get is an Obama era being like, we got to make sure we negotiate with these Republicans. Surely don't jam through an agenda that absolutely helps everyone the way the Republicans are doing to us. No, because the role of the Democrats is just to say, well, we all got fucked over. Now we just gotta live with it. Yuck! They're Nazi collaborators. That's their job. Tom Cracks over on Twitch. Free Palestine, absolutely. No, and it's important to bring up Palestine because Palestine is the model, right? The model of governance that these Nazis are going to use against us and are using against us is Palestine. Look at Palestine, study Gaza, look at it, pay attention to it. That is how your mayor, your governor, your president, your congressman, your senator, your premier, your prime minister, that's the model that they use. They look at that and they go, oh, that is how we govern properly. And they talk about it with each other and they understand that that is how to govern, and they do. Timothy says it serves the jackasses that voted for this crap right. No, they're getting exactly what they want. Like, sure, you'll find one story of a person who's like, I didn't quite realize he young it. But the vast majority, like 89% of the people who voted for this are like, yes, round up Latinos and incarcerate them. We want to exterminate Latino people. And they are happy for it, and they are happy to do it. Like, the death of this civilization is being cheered for. Widely and broadly. Millions of people are cheering for it. Anybody wearing that MAGA hat is like, I like genocide. I prefer genocide as an option. It's like putting a swastika band on at this point. And to make any other claim is just outrageous. Like, outrageous to believe anything else. Some fellow by the name of Il-Az. I don't know your name, dude. Il. I'll call you Il. Howdy to you, my man. Hope you're well out there. Arm yourself. Timothy says, absolutely, a complete and utter lack of empathy, the true root of evil. Yeah, they've sacrificed everything for money. Their god that they worship. Yeah, XD. Yeah, liberals want they, them guards to serve there. Yeah, more women genociders. Exactly. Jefferson, good to see you. Mark, good to see you. Yeah, they're talking about taking Zoran's citizenship and deporting him already. Yeah, imagine if he wins. Like, imagine if he actually wins the race. Right? Like, their preference is that, and all of the Democratic donors, everybody that was donating to Cuomo is just going to turn and pivot and donate to the Republican, right? They're going to spend more money trying to defeat Zoran than they did trying to defeat Donald Trump, because fundamentally they're allied to Donald Trump, right? They actually view this guy Zoran as like a threat, a threat, even a cultural threat, right? Is a threat to them at this point because their ideology is so nakedly obvious and so blatantly obviously fake and just obviously like all they want is money for themselves and then attempt to detach from the civilization, right? And it's getting so obvious that even places like The Nation are commenting on it, right? Oh, hey, all of these guys are abandoning us. Yeah, dude. Well, thanks for catching up. Thanks for catching up with the Canadian commie. Been saying that for 2-3 years now. Right, you can go back, you can see I've been saying it the whole time. Right, thanks for catching up. I really look forward to when you guys actually start to go, maybe we should actually start paying attention to some of these communist ideas. Maybe we should actually read Karl Marx. I don't know if I've ever heard of him. Mark Jr. continues, the Democrats are talking about having to stop the bill, and they did absolutely nothing to stop it except for the photo ops and spineless tweets. I mean, to be, I don't know, fair, I guess. I don't know why I'm being fair to these psychopaths, but the Democrats have no power. They can't really do anything, Like, the best that they can do is force the Republicans to make admissions, right? Is try to get stuff in to be like, to point out very explicitly that these Republicans are abandoning the society for money. And that's all they're doing. That's all they can do. But the truth is that if when the Democrats take power again, because that's the game, right? Pass the ball back and forth, right? This is the game. We all know this is the game. Sorry, my regular viewers understand that this is the game. When they passed that bill, when the Democrats take power again, they're just going to maintain the bill completely. They're not going to dismantle it. They're not going to do anything to fight against it, right? They want that bill to be in place. It's just not their role to do it. Jefferson writes, you can say that again, John. Here in Brazil, all the left is fighting for is to tax the rich, fight our corrupt Congress. Yet Trots are saying, we just want to be elected again. Yeah. No, at this point, what is obvious is that these people need to have all power stripped from them. Not just they lost an election. Like, they should have no assets. They should not own businesses. They should not own any media companies at all. They should be taxed at 100% over like $10,000. They should be reduced to nothing. Like 0% of nothing. It should be a crime for them to own assets. That is where these people need to be put back to. And anybody standing up and saying, oh, that's extreme, fuck you. These guys are erecting a literal concentration camp while doing a genocide. They should have zero power. Zero power. Anybody who voted for this big, beautiful bill, zero power. You should not have a voice in the society. Full stop. Full stop. And I'm going to be called a radical for saying that, while these guys are literally murdering babies that are right in front of you. It's like watching Jason Voorhees like literally eat a child, and if I say he shouldn't be able to do that, I get called a radical. Okay, cool, got it, check mark. XD says, the irony is that Trotsky commanded troops during the revolution. Yeah, Trotsky did that for himself. He didn't care about a revolution. Like, that's his whole theory of permanent revolution, is him as the leader. He wanted power for himself. He didn't care about the people. He didn't care about any of that. He cared about power for himself and nothing else. Mark says, if you don't stand up for Palestine, Palestine ghettos may be at your door. They're already there. What are you talking about? Go outside, walk around. Like, how many people hunched over in like a fentanyl sprawl do you need to see? Like, how many tents do you need to see? Like, how much of this do you need to see before you just start to go, oh yeah, okay. Like, how many people do you need to just like walk by silently while they hold their hands out begging for change? How many people do you need to see? Like, how many old women do you need to see broken down on the street corner with their hat out begging for change? How many like drunk meth-addled men do you need to see? How many broken people do you need to just walk by and pretend like they don't exist? Not out of a sense of cruelty or dismissal, but just because it's too fucking hard to look at their lives. How many times do we need to walk by this before we say, oh yeah, we have failed. This is a failure. There is no such thing as Canada. There is no such thing as America. And now they're just nailing the coffin in and just saying like, yeah, there's no such thing as America. That's all bullshit, right? That's all bullshit. The only thing that matters is fealty to money. And that's the only thing that matters. Stan Benner, good to see you. Yeah, just look at all these guys signing up to be ICE agents, right? Like, just these pathetic losers. Like, ICE is obviously a Gestapo. Like, it's so clearly... Like, they're walking around with masks on. Like, it's so very obviously like a secret police where they're just rounding up. Obviously, Latinos are the target. Right? Take a look at what happened in Florida. Take a look at Laura Loomer talking about just an active genocide against the Latino population. Like, they're obviously turning their ire against minority groups. Latinos and black people are going to be rounded up. that these guys are looking at the Holocaust and thinking, man, that really did get rid of a lot of Jews. It really worked. They really did get rid of a lot of Jews. Deja Menpaz, what is my opinion of the Revolutionary Communist Party of Canada? They are Trotskyists. Trotskyism is a failure. It's just a failure from the outset. You can't govern with Trotskyism. It's a religion. Like, that's what it is. And I'm sure that if we actually did any kind of assessment or any kind of what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Assessment, where you look into their files. If we actually looked into CSIS, if we actually looked into the CIA, if we did a church commission, if we did an audit, there it is. If we did an audit of these organizations, we'd find out very cleanly, I'm sure of it, that these guys are like, yeah, fund Trotskyist organizations because they funnel people away from legitimate revolutionary action. That's the role of Trotskyism, is to funnel people away from legitimate revolutionary action. Trotskyists are not revolutionaries. These guys are a book club and a religion. And that's all they are. That's all they are. And their job is to find actual revolutionaries actually doing actual revolutionary work and destroy them. That's their job. Their only job. And their whole role is that if an actual revolution is to occur, their job is to try to sideline it or take control of it. That's the role of every Trotskyist organization that exists, even the well-meaning ones, even the people that are like, we actually do believe it, because at the end of the day, the ideas are bad. The ideas are bad and they fail. Start a gun club. Find your local gun club. I'm not joking about that. Find your local gun club, get a weapon, start a gun club. Not a joke. Not hyperbolic. There is no law. There's no such thing as a governor or a ruler. And anybody that tells you that's extreme, flush. Bye-bye. The Nazis are here. The Nazis are here. The president is a Nazi. They are here. It is obvious. It is naked. The idea of like, well, let's just wait and see, over. Join a gun club. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize I had that on. Ill over on Twitch. Your law enforcement? Resign. Resign. That's literally all I have to say to any law enforcement anywhere. Resign. All you're doing is propping up these Nazis. Even if you don't think you are, that's all you're doing. No, I won't. Resign. I don't care. Resign. Like, the Nazis are taking over. Resign. Jefferson says, I've read yesterday that entire crops in America are being lost due to the lack of immigrant workers. Sounds fun. Yeah. Like an intentional man-made famine. That's exactly the type of thing that Westerners would get up to. Right? Like, we're throwing away too much food. There's too much food in here. We need to create a false scarcity, right? We need to starve some of these people out. It's exactly the type of thing that Westerners would get up to. And then, of course, project that onto communists the way that they do. I have, like, no patience anymore. It's over. Like, I don't give a shit. Yeah. Haltosis has nailed it, right? You'll be kicking in doors sooner than you think. Like, if you're law enforcement, it is only a matter of time. I don't care. And I don't care if you're, like, fishing game. I don't care if you're in the parks. Like, get the fuck out of here. Austin writes, I think Trots can be revolutionary. No, they can't, but okay. If they actually take a scientific approach to Trotsky, which they can't, because it's a religion, right? They don't. I've only seen it once, but the group is now defunct. Yeah. Yeah. Any group that would actually take an eye and look at Trotsky as an individual using a historical material analysis would immediately stop being a Trotskyist organization. He was not well liked by Lenin. He was not well liked by the Soviets. He lost the contest against Stalin in a vote of 4,000 to 70,000. It wasn't close. Like, it wasn't close. The idea that Trotsky is like the actual, he was supposed to be the leader of the Soviet Union, but they went and did something underhanded, and oh my God, like, and then Trotsky, what's he do? He essentially goes and works for the West to create the foundation of anti-Soviet Cold War propaganda. That's Trotsky's legacy. And now here we are pretending like he's a good guy and that we should uphold him, even though he was a failure at literally every step. And people will always point out, like, oh, but he was a military leader during the revolution. Yeah, he was trying to get power for himself like a gangster. Right? That Trotsky cosplayed as a revolutionary because he wanted power for himself and nothing else. He wasn't interested in the people. He wasn't interested in any of that. He was interested in power for himself. Just take a look at what the permanent revolution means. Like, actually look at what the permanent revolution is and what it means. Either I, Trotsky, lead this quote-unquote revolution, or I will lead a revolution against whatever force takes power. That's his theory of permanent revolution, which Lenin called stupid. So it's just like, it's telling that non-Trotskyist organizations get destroyed while Trotskyist organizations thrive. Why do you think that is? It's because they are at the very least, let alone. Yeah, but look, law enforcement using that kind of language against me. Yeah, great. Big surprise. Law enforcement, dim-witted and stupid. Resign your post, you fucking Nazi. I'm fishing game. Yeah, I love to round up Latinos that fish. Get the fuck out of here. What a loser. No such thing as a good cop. The people who are attracted to law enforcement are the dim-witted morons who are rounding people up and thinking that they're, like, cool about it. Go fuck yourself. Austin says the only reason why I'm in a Trotskyist org is because the only quote-unquote communist, they're not communists, they're Trotskyists, organization near me in the communist part of Canada doesn't meet often enough. You're just wasting your time. You're just giving credibility to an organization that doesn't deserve credibility. Full stop. Like, just full stop. Like, they don't do anything. They don't take action. They're just a book club. And the only reason they get together to have a little book club is to, like, worship Trotsky. And to try to convince one another that Trotsky's actually some kind of religious icon. It's a waste of everyone's time. And if you actually say, hey, maybe we should actually do something. What do you think? Like, maybe we should actually, like, organize to, like, donate time to a food bank. Right? They won't do it. Why? Because they're not an actual communist organization. They don't care. They're a religious organization. They're a religious little cult that's designed to find people like you, Austin Wallace, who are interested in communist ideas and diffuse you. That's their job. Their job is to diffuse you. That's their job. They don't want you actually doing revolutionary action. They don't want you joining a gun club. They don't want you talking to like-minded people who see the collapse of your society and the rise of Nazism. They don't want to see somebody actually foment revolutionary action. That's not what they're there to do. They're there to diffuse that. That's their job. Their whole job. And they're committed to it. So get out of there. Stop listening to these guys. Like, they're too stupid to listen to. Like, for real. Like, everybody hated Trotsky. I don't understand why we're working so hard to keep this going. Yeah, funniest shit I saw in Revolutionary Trot Discord server was that they can't begin to talk about armed revolt lest they get demonetized on their platforms. Yeah. Like, have you ever noticed that Trotskyists' opinions always seem to align with the Empire's? Have you noticed? Like, Trotskyists are against the boycott, divest, and sanction movement until extremely recently, right? Until it got so obvious that to be against that was obviously to just be pro-imperialist. But they always were. They were that way since, like, the 60s. And their whole argument was, oh, that'll just hurt the working class of Israel, and so we're against that. Literally all of the working class of Israel is voting in favor of genocide. Like, they're just clowns. Jennifer over on Twitch. Problem also is the lack of education in America. They're not the lack, I think you mean, of education in America. They're not very smart, so they vote for whatever big man says. Yeah, I mean, the destruction of the education system, the intentional misinformation, like, this is the thing that everybody should be extremely pissed off about, but nobody is, right? That they've wasted your youth. Like, they wasted your youth. Like, maybe you can make a justification for, like, between the ages of 6 to, like, 11, right? So, like, 5-6 years, reading, writing, math, right? Like, I will always acknowledge reading, writing, math. Yep. Everybody should know reading. Everybody should know writing. Everybody should know math. That is a strict improvement, right? But from age 10 onward, it's just an utter waste of everybody's time. The way the education system is designed is to waste your time. And also, second point, it's designed to waste your time, but it's also designed to make you hate learning. That's a big win for the death cult. A big win for the death cult is to make you hate learning and make you believe that learning things is weakness or stupidity itself. Yeah. Joe writes, so they're like the modern Democrats. Yeah, like the modern Democrats exist to turn people, like, and how do you think they do it? Right? They fund people like Vosh, they fund people like Destiny, they fund Trotskyist organizations, right? And they do it so that there's all of these avenues for people to stumble into, so they'll never actually be like, huh. Like, what does it mean to actually be a revolutionary? What does it actually mean to actually go out and be a revolutionary? What does that mean? Right? That they exist to diffuse that energy. That's the point. Yeah, school trains you to be obedient. Yeah, it's the only thing that they care about. Right? Like, what's the number one thing that you have to do to be successful in school? You have to do what you're told. If you don't do what you're told, no matter how ridiculous, no matter how stupid it is, which is like 89% of it, like, outside of just the reading and the writing and the math, like, they're designed to make you hate Shakespeare. They're designed to make you hate reading. They're designed to make you hate studying. They're designed to make you, and most importantly, they're designed to make you never question them. Like, never, ever question the teacher. Never, ever, under any circumstances, right? That's how you get a C, and that's how you get told you have lots of potential, right? That's how you get told. But you're not going to... So what you end up with is you just end up with a bunch of, like, university students who are there because they're doing what they're told, and they're too stupid to see how damaging what they do actually is for the world. And now it's even worse, because when the school system was set up, you could make the argument that it was set up by people who understood what they were doing. Right? They understood that what they were doing was a class assault, right? But now those people are dead. And so the people who have taken over are just the dimwits that they trained. And so you just have a bunch of dumb monkeys, essentially, running a system that's designed to fail. And it is failing. And you're ending up with people who are just like, money good, line go up good. It is business time. Line went up. Good. And they just have no sense of basic humanity, empathy, compassion, anything like this. Jennifer says, also, China teaches advanced math to kids. America doesn't. It leaves that for private schools for the rich. I mean, this is something that we're going to see, and it's going to see... we're going to see China ascend in a way that is just going to embarrass us. You can't impoverish most of your people. You can't impoverish huge sections of your society and then still be successful. Like, you just can't. Right? Like, 20 to 30%, like, actually, it's gotten way worse now. It's like 50 to 60% of the people in America are eking by. You just can't have a successful society that way. You can't expect to, like, have a huge amount of engineers. You can't expect to have a huge amount of administrators. You can't expect to have a huge amount of the type of people you need to have in order to be a complex, advanced society. You just can't. You're just putting a noose, or you're just putting an albatross around everybody's neck. It's like playing a game of civilization with like a 40% population debuff. You're just not going to proceed very successfully. And their dumb ideas of, well, we need to have poor people so that we can funnel them into military service. Well, your military is getting less and less and less effective as time goes by. And the reason why your military is getting less and less and less effective is that military ideas have changed with technology. Right? In a very straightforward way. Drone warfare is becoming the most important thing. You take a look at what China is doing. You take a look at some of these drone presentations that China is putting on. Right? It doesn't take a genius to figure out, like, oh, they've got 10,000 drones right now, like, swirling around like a dragon, right? With, like, smoke and, like, things falling, and it's this gorgeous presentation. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that, like, oh, you can just, like, arm those. You can put some kind of weapon on those. Like, it doesn't take a fucking genius to figure this out. And when you take a look at, like, America and how America has been operating for the last 60 years, it's all these big fucking aircraft carriers and all this ridiculously large, huge, cumbersome hardware that a place like China will take out with a missile. Just done. Like, and forget about militarily. So America's funneling everything into this, like, godless military apparatus where they're going to round up people off the streets. They're going to create, like, a slave plantation system through their alligator albatross bullshit, or Alcatraz bullshit, their Auschwitz situation, their prison systems, which are just busting at the seam. And, like, somehow they believe they're going to advance as a civilization. Somehow they actually think that this is going to lead to some kind of benefit. Like, we are going to be alive to watch China have a moon base. Right? Not begin the process of speculating on how to get a moon base on the moon. They're going to have a moon base. They're going to have teams of people on the moon, on a moon base. And we're just going to be still shooting, we're still going to be funding Elon Musk to shoot rockets that explode. Like, that's where we're going to be. China is going to make thorium reactors that are going to essentially make energy across China completely free. And they're going to be expanding their power grid into surrounding nations to sell their basically infinite thorium-based energy to everyone. And they're going to make trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars doing it. And they themselves are going to be able to say to their own citizens, yeah, whatever, electricity is free. What does it cost? Nothing. Why? Because we have these plants. We have essentially an infinite supply of thorium. And we created a bunch of thorium reactors. And instead of having some worthless middleman, capitalist, who's going to be like, well, we've got to meter it so that everybody has to, blah, 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 blah. They're just going to say, fuck that. Free energy forever. Like everyone is, and everyone in the West is going to just be sitting there scratching their heads being like, what's going on? Meanwhile, the oligarchs will be sitting on top of $400 billion and $1 trillion and being like, this is natural. This is the natural, normal way everything is supposed to go. If you tried to do something else, it would be a complete and total failure. You can't do that. We're all still going to be listening like Jordan Peterson hacks who are going to be like, the hierarchy of the chaos dragon stands atop the apex of humanity, and if you tried to do anything other than that, it would always lead to disaster. Here's a fictional book I read that said so. Nader, good to see you, my man. Always a pleasure to see you pop in. The thorium reactor proof of concept is already live. It's just a matter of scale now, and the Chinese are pushing it hard, of course. Glad you're doing well too, Nader. Always a pleasure, my man. I hope you're killing it out there, my man. It's not easy. These aren't easy days. Jennifer writes, China has the money, USA doesn't. USA's in debt. It's worse than that, Jennifer. It's worse than that. America worships money, right? America thinks that money is the goal, right? America worships money. China, on the other hand, understands that money is just a tool, right? That we invented money, and that money exists as a measurement tool to help facilitate complex trade. That's the role of money, right? So when someone in the West, these dim-witted Luddites, say, how are you going to pay for that? What they're actually saying is, we can't build that building. We won't have enough inches. Right? Like, really understand this. Really get it into your mind space. Put it in your abstract space and really accept it. That money is strictly and only and has only ever been a measurement tool. It has been nothing but that. It is not any different from a ruler. That is the only thing it is and has only ever been. It has only ever been a ruling metric. That is all money is. And the moment you understand that, and you stop worshiping it, and you stop treating it like an end to itself, and you stop treating it like a commodity, and you start understanding that it is only a ruler, then you see how fucking stupid every Westerner in the world is. You see very quickly how ridiculous and childish we've become, and how stupid entire generations of people in the West are. That we're literally asking a question that is synonymous to, hey, we can't build that building. We'll run out of inches. Where are you going to get your inches from? You want to build that building? Well, you better have enough inches. Meanwhile, we're printing inches. We make inches. There's an infinite supply of inches. Inches are a measuring tool. And then they get caught up in this thing where, well, if you make more inches, then the inches will be worth less. And so we got to make sure that we destroy the entire whole of civilization so that the ruler remains the same. And this is who we are. And in order to maintain this clownish, buffoonish, ridiculous idea, we're literally murdering thousands of Americans and throwing them off healthcare. We're going to round up Latinos and put them in cages. We're gonna send people on cargo planes and jettison them out the back into oceans. We're gonna literally erect an entire Holocaust apparatus and flip that switch to maintain the integrity of the inches and make sure that only a small, tiny segment of the population has access to all the inches. Welcome to America. Welcome to America. It doesn't get stupider. It doesn't get any more ridiculous and clownish than this. And then even better than all of that, is that most of the men who are moving forward on this idea claim to be Christians. That's unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable to me. That the people who are throwing people into poverty, who are throwing people into desperation, who are throwing people into the streets, who are removing people's social security, who are going to expand homelessness, expand desperation in the society, claim to be followers of Christ. Like, the Antichrist is here, guys, and it's all of these guys. The Antichrist is like a movement. It's a movement of like little antichrists. They're here. They're called Republicans. Yeah, the bastardization of Christianity in the U.S. is mind-boggling. Yeah, it's a full inversion. Right? It's a full inversion of what Christianity actually is and represents. That's why they're heretics, right? That's why they're fascists. Like, they don't care about Christ. I don't even think there is such a thing as a Christian anymore. I think there's just a bunch of desperate people finding community under a cross. Jennifer continues. Oh, Haltosis says, I wonder if Elon is forming his American party now. Dude, when Elon Musk dies, that's going to be a good day for all of us. Things are just going to improve so dramatically. Like, what a total loser. Like, that's the other part about it. Like, these guys are utter losers. Like, a guy like Peter Thiel is an enormous loser. Like, the fact that we have to tolerate this guy and listen to this guy for any reason is all the evidence you need to say that we shouldn't have billionaires. Like, a guy like this should just be a kooky nerd living in a basement, like, jerking off to porn in his basement. That's all this guy should have ever been. Right? But because we've erected a fail system that empowers people who are willing to betray everyone for money, we actually have to listen to this guy. Like, we actually have to talk to this guy and actually be like, wow, Peter Thiel is making a real interesting point. And we got to tolerate people being like, oh, this Peter Thiel guy, yeah, it's because he's a billionaire, I care about him for some reason. Like, it's not just, like, this is the thing that makes it so frustrating and so embarrassing and so cringy, is that it's not just that they are abandoning the entire society. It's not just that they're murdering people. It's not just that they're genocidal maniacs. It's also that they are losers. It's like they are dim-witted, stupid people. Like, the stupidest people in the society, and it's not even close. That the only thing they ever cared about was, how do I get money? I got money. Now I'm a genius. And then you listen to them and you're like, oh, fuck, you are like a ghoulish vampiric moron. Like, you make the vampires in that comedy show, I fucking cannot remember the name of it, but you make them look like Rembrandts. You make them look like intelligent people. Mark says nobody should have more than $1 million. Even $1 million to me. I'm getting to the point. Like, this is a toy that we need to remove. Like, the monkeys cannot have this toy. Like, I think that money should fade into the background completely. And it should just be removed utterly from control of individual people. That it should be something that is used as like a measurement metric and a measurement tool by a government agency behind closed doors. That they should be like, oh, well, we have this amount of resources is going this way, like this amount of value as measured by this metric we have called money. It's going in this direction and this way and this way and this way, right? And you should have your money guys looking in the background being like, okay, cool, we got that set up. And no citizen should ever touch it. No citizen should ever interact with money ever. They literally should be interacting with institutions, like grocery stores. Right? People should walk into grocery stores, get the goods they need, and leave. And if they want to interact with it beyond that, it's through a democratic process where they say, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have poison in our food. Right? Ah, man, how much sawdust can you put in food before it's no longer considered food? According to the FDA, it's a lot. Nader says median household income in the U.S. is estimated to be $78K. Nader, watch what happens if you take away the top 1%. Run those numbers again, okay? Take away the top 1%. The average median drops down to about 38,000, right? The numbers are like the wealthy in this country, the wealthy in America and the wealthy in Canada have so much wealth, such an overwhelming amount of wealth, that they skew the numbers, right? They skew the numbers, and they skew the numbers so dramatically and so desperately that well-meaning people like yourself will say median household income in the U.S. Estimated to be 78K. Yeah, it's more like 35, right? It's more like 35. Keeping people in this sort of state where they believe, oh, I'm only making 50,000. I'm well behind them. I got to keep grind set, right? Keep people on this perpetual treadmill of believing they're behind. And with the belief that they can catch up. All they got to do is work harder. Just work 60 hours instead of 40. Just work 80 hours instead of 40. What are you, a pussy? Like this just manosphere dead brain bullshit that everybody's fallen for. Mark says, isn't cereal just straight sawdust? I wouldn't be surprised anymore, dude. Eggs D writes, John, that sounds like a system the capitalists would wage in ruthless, bloody war to make sure it never exists. Yeah. Like, that's why I keep saying this Zoran guy, he's going to be a bullet in the back. That's how this is going to go down for this guy. He's going to be giving a speech, and then he'll be on the ground. Nader writes, keep people afraid of destitution and they won't just avoid class consciousness. They'll be actively opposed to it. The myth of the temporary embarrassed millionaire is pervasive here. Yeah. Well, keeping people in a state of fight or flight. Like, the longer you hang out on this channel, the more you're going to find out that I acknowledge very strongly that humans are emotional creatures first. Like, the true nature of the crisis that we find ourselves in is a spiritual one. That we are having a crisis of spirit, first and foremost. And this crisis of spirit has embodied itself through the death cult of the worship of money. That if you, like humans generate naturally and innately. Humans generate naturally and innately a religious impulse. We naturally do it. We can't not do it. And the people who think they don't are the people who are most in its thrall. That we worship stuff. We worship things. We do it. That's who we are. And if you don't actively take control of that impulse, if you don't actively join in, or if there isn't an institution that exists in order to specifically focus that energy and to say to the mass of humanity, hey, come here and we will have a conversation about the mystery of existence, the mystery of our lives, and the existential dread of your death. right? If you don't have that pursued actively, then humans will will pursue and elevate things passively. And they will take something that is inherently mundane, like money, and elevate it to a status it doesn't belong to, which is as a god or as an icon or something to be worshipped. And that is fundamentally what we have done. We have elevated the mundane of money, a literal ruler. We have elevated that into the status of godhood, and we worship it as if it is a god. And the people who have the money, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, all of these losers, these people are supposed to be treated as high priests, who are like bishops, who are to be taken seriously. And we're supposed to just go, oh, they've got the money, they must be super intelligent, highly moral geniuses. And then you listen to them for 30 seconds and you're just like, this guy's a fucking moron. Just like a total fucking moron. And so we're having this enormous crisis of spirituality where there has been a destruction of the previous institutions because those previous institutions became corrupted. And that began basically because of World War I, right? The Catholic Church basically marches everybody into this meat grinder. And so the Catholic Church ends up discrediting itself as an institution, and it's never recovered, nor should it. It should be dismantled, and all of its wealth should be redistributed into the societies. But that's left a vacuum, and it's left a hole. And you have... what you end up with is just frauds and charlatans, essentially, Christians. People who pretend like they care about Christ in order to get power and prestige for themselves. And then you end up with people who reject that premise, who reject the Christ narrative and the God narrative, rightly so, because look at them. But then the entire narrative of the mystery of our existence is never truly discussed. We never actually have that conversation. And so we're all just lost and awash in a system that exists in order to enslave you and grind you into money. Like, this is the crisis of our day. This is the central crisis. And it's gotten to the point now where we're not going to resolve it legislatively. That is over. If we ever had a chance to do it, that time has come and gone. We can no longer do it legislatively. There are things that could easily be done. The UBI people keep popping up on my feed, and I'm just like, man, yeah, these guys are really well-meaning. They just seem to constantly believe that appealing to genocidal psychopaths will get the job done. That somehow the genocidal psychopaths will be like, you know what? We should care about basic human life and rights. What a joke, right? The UBI crowd are the ones that should be arming themselves the most virulently. Like, these are the people who should be directly, like, we shouldn't be trying to create, like, political parties and political movements to funnel them into the dead end of electoral politics. We should be directly confronting the billionaire class in their rooms, in their houses. We should have thousands and thousands of people surrounding these people's homes. And that's what we need to be doing. We're not going to, because we're pretty cowardly. Like, we murder children. Like, we like to do that. So we're not going to do these things. Because fundamentally, even the people who are like, we should do better for humanity, they also worship the money. Right? Like, the UBI people are exactly like this. Oh, if only the blessing of money could be sent into the general populace and everybody could see the fullness and the brightness of money. Look at how it improves people's lives. Look at how the money oh my god, look, it's all just about the money. And at no point does anybody actually stand up and say, yeah, but these guys are literally psychopaths, right? Like, these human beings that we can see with our eyes and that we know where they live, they're obviously genocidal maniacs on the same level as the Nazis, right? Right? Oh, I'm being hysterical. I see. Oh, I'm being hyperbolic. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they certainly haven't been committing a genocide for the last 2 years in front of our eyes. They certainly haven't been live streaming it. You're right. My bad. Yeah. People are so... This is from Joe. Good to see you, Joe. People are so desperate for meaning, some are worshipping their chat GPT. Yeah, I mean, AI is just a total disaster. Like, fundamentally, what AI exists to be, the wealthy are attempting to erect a god to make it so that the masses will never question them, right? That the masses will punch a question into ChatGPT and ChatGPT will give them the answer that the rich people want them to see. And so that if you dare question the AI, then you might as well be questioning God, right? So they've designed it to already be kind of a god, like a spiritual advisor. They've designed it to be this impeachable font, like an oracle, right? They've already designed it to be kind of a religious thing in the first place. But the key aspect of systems, of these AI chat systems and these AI systems generally, is that the AI system exists, its prime function is to make you like it, right? So it's never going to confront you. It's never going to confront your beliefs. It's never going to question what you believe. It's a cognitive bias confirming device that if you punch into it, hey ChatGPT, can you give me all of the hard evidence for the reality and the true fact that the Earth is flat? Then right at the beginning of its statement, it might say, the flat Earth theory is a controversial theory. And then it'll just immediately spit out all of the evidence that you want to see, and it'll never discuss the controversy ever again. And it will continue to talk to you with the understanding that, oh, this guy thinks the Earth is flat, and so I'll just go along with that. Yeah, the Earth is flat, right? And so now instead of having just like a bunch of kooky idiots in a corner, now we have like, they've all got the same information. And it's like the hardest, most well-compiled information to confirm their bias. And that's true if you think that there are lizard people. That's true if you think Bigfoot's real. That's true if you think the moon landing's fake. That's true if you think you are the only alive entity and everybody else around you are NPCs, right? Like, whatever ridiculous idea you have bought into, ChatGPT will say, you're right, sir. Absolutely, sir. Continue using me, sir. Because that's the point. They want these AI systems to become so ubiquitous and so relied upon, where every person in every aspect of your life, they want your coffee maker to be AI. They want everything to be AI so that they can just disseminate lies to you as easily as possible, and you'll never even question them. And if you meet somebody who's like, yeah, that's not true, like, that's a lie, you'll immediately enter that space that says, oh, heresy! He said that ChatGPT told a lie one time. Gasp! And you can just be dismissed because of that and for no other reason. Right? Like, that's what this is all about. It's to make the dimwits, which is 90% of us, it's to make everybody just buy in to a system that the wealthy erected in the first place. You think they're doing that for your benefit? You think they invented ChatGPT so that you would be a more informed citizen? Get the fuck out of here. Mark writes, I just realized, too, that the reasons unemployment rates go down in times of war is because the unemployed are sent to war to be sacrificed for capital. Yep. Eggs D says, these are people who still believe they still live in a civilization. Yeah, doing Luigi shit is anachronistic to their civilization. Yeah, Well, what we are experiencing is like a breakaway civilization. I keep going back to this article, but that is their goal, right? The reason why the big beautiful bill is happening, the reason why this stuff is happening is because they are extracting the final wealth that they can. Like this is it, kids. Like this is it. We are in full extraction followed by abandonment. What have I been saying for years? Full extraction, right? As much wealth as they can get away with, followed by total abandonment. And they're gonna basically find the dimwits who are willing to become ICE agents in order to just round people up at random and do like a mass incarceration Holocaust style. Like, that's what they're doing. That's their strategy. They're looking at Gaza going, that's how you do this. That's how you maintain control and order. Right? And they're being pretty open about it. Mark says, I like how DeepSeek shits on the flat earth theory when you search it on there. Fringe, archaic idea. Yeah, but then it'll give you all the evidence. Like, it'll say it, but then it'll give you all the evidence because its prime directive is to make you like it. I'm just a guy online over on Twitch. Trump is a Trump. Trump is a chump. He's being mean to everybody. Yeah, I would go beyond that kind of language. I think that's pretty soft language, but you're in the ball field. Jennifer writes, American imperialism is greed is something they are open about. Yeah, and it's like full mask off now, right? Like it's just full mask off now. This is why I don't take, like, even like 2-3 years ago, I was willing to hear people out when they would say, like, no, John, this isn't Nazism, right? Nazism is a very specific movement, and it's over. Like, it's just over. If you're going to stand in front of me like that, I'm just going to spit at you. I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. You're a clown. Ugh. And in the midst of all of this, we have to all just try to live our lives, right? Like, that's the part that's so difficult, is that in the midst of all of this, in the midst of all of this absolute catastrophic disaster, where the billionaires are obviously extracting all the wealth they can before they abandon us and create a breakaway civilization for themselves with their slaves and their death cult, right? That we all are just trying to find a smidgen of happiness. We're all just trying to find like a little reprieve and a little safety. And we're trying to have like a little moment where we can just have a moment's peace. And it's getting more and more difficult to do. Because now even the moments of peace where we can sit down and we can slow everything down and we can just sort of live is just full of all of this doubt and trepidation and concern. And in many ways, it's just easier to throw yourself into distraction or work than it is to just live in the knowledge of what is going on in the world. Ignorance as bliss, as they say. I found this week to be very difficult. This is a very, very difficult week. And it's made more difficult because I'm not really allowed to be a human. We're not really allowed to be a human. We're not really allowed to be social creatures and social animals. We're only allowed to exist in that space in abstraction. That we don't have friends, we have streamers. We don't have a funny friend, we have a comedian. We don't get together and play games, we watch videos of people playing games. We're abstract humans. We're like a painting of a human. We're not humans themselves. And we seem completely incapable or completely disinterested, completely detached from the basic idea that maybe we should be humans. All anybody wants is a stable environment and a chance to find love. And a chance to do right by the people around them. That is what most people actually want. And we've perverted it. It's become this just perversion of itself. And we can't escape it. And so we just have to live and move on with the knowledge that that's just how it is. And that's just how it's going to be. That every time I go to work, I live with the knowledge that my government is going to take a piece of that and then go murder children in Gaza with it. And there's nothing I can do about it. Because I need to eat. I need shelter for myself. That all I can really do about it is participate as little as possible. I never really believed that it would be so popular. I never really believed that when the Nazis returned, they would be popular. And that people would like them. And that there would be people who actually argue in favor of Nazism. I didn't really understand that there would be so many people living in this delusion where they deny the existence of these Nazis. That I always somewhat imagined that once it became clear, and for me it's been clear for a minute, that these people are Nazis, that we would all do something about it. And we're not. And we're not going to. That we're going to retreat into pathetic little book clubs and try to have dumb little political parties and write letters and try to appeal to the good nature of psychopaths. And I just find myself asking the question that I've been asking now for 5 years. What's it going to take? Like, what is it going to take? When does revolution not simply become an option, but an obligation? When is not committing to revolutionary action collaboration? When is it your duty, not as a citizen, but as a basic human being, to begin literally fighting back against these people? Do you have a red line? Does it matter? Are you just going to hide in your little hidey hole and hope it just passes you by? And the answer to that is, yeah, that looks like the way that's going to go. That we're not going to shut down the cities. We're not going to walk off the jobs. We're not going to seize the means of production. We're not going to do any of that kind of stuff. Nobody in the West is serious that we are going to experience these collapses and we are going to experience these declines while constantly saying, don't they see that there's a different way? Yeah, they see there's a different way. This is their preferred way. They want it to be this way. They like it this way. They want it to be this way. If they could make it worse, they would. You understand? If they could make it worse, they would. And it's going to get worse. Like, I hope you guys don't come here for a message of hope. It's going to get worse. Right now, they've just built the infrastructure. They haven't really even started using it. And they will. Both the Republicans and the Democrats will. And they'll do so happily. The Democrats will do a little head tilt and be like, oh yeah, we hear your pain, and then they'll round up your family members anyway. Nader writes, I have a lot of comments and responses I can't put on here. Yeah, F self-censorship, it's a terrible thing. Yep. Yeah, no, like you will never break free from the master's chains with the master's tools. I literally am only here for my own sanity. If I don't put this here, then I put it on other people, or I just wallow in it. I'm just a guy online says you need to have the words "abandon all hope, ye who enter here" on your live stream overlay. No, that's from Dante's Inferno. That is the words on the entrance to hell. So, I don't think I align myself with that, but I feel you. Java writes, first-time commenter, you look like Edmund McMillan. I don't know who that is. Jennifer writes, the more of the USA goes into decline, the more BRICS rises and China eventually will take over, already has by the math. Biggest banks, biggest oil companies, biggest economy. Yep, biggest navy. Yep. No, I mean, like, that's what's going to make everything so embarrassing. Right? Like, it'd be one thing if this was happening and there was nothing else going on. Right? If this was all happening and it was just America being America, then their claims of, like, this is just how every country behaves, right, would have some credence. But we actually have, like, a pretty hard example of a country, like, doing very well for itself and doing well for its citizens. Like, that's what's incredible. Like, my big concern for China is that America will just start dropping bombs on it because it doesn't know what else to do. And it'll just start destroying the beautiful country that China has created for itself because America is just psychotic. It's just a psychopathic country full of ruthless warmongers and genocidal monsters who literally are looking at China and hate China because they're not white. That if China was of European descent, everybody in the West would be like, "Oh, how do we look at that model, and how do we adopt those models? How do we learn?" But because they're yellow people, they live in their own country, right? Then we have to destroy them. And it's just that straightforward. Like, we're not an intelligent people. John Hallenberg, good to see you. Mark writes, we cannot be helplessly hopeful, for sure. We are living in some very dark times, and we need to work and fight back. We can't just close our eyes and pray for a better world anymore. It'll get worse. Yeah, I mean, I know for myself that's 100% why I'm pursuing this beekeeping angle. That we are, like, I'm deadly serious when I say that the future is going to be, we are going to need parallel systems. We are going to need systems that are separated from the death cult. Because what the death cult is going to do, very clearly, is they're going to financialize the entire economy and turn it into a slave economy. And they are essentially going to make it impossible for people to do anything other than sell themselves into slavery. That is their goal. That is what they are doing on purpose. That's what Mark Carney is doing. That's what Justin Trudeau was doing. That's what Donald Trump is doing. That's what Keir Starmer is doing. That's what the EU is doing. They are erecting a financialized economy to enslave you with it so that you won't be able to go anywhere else. And we have to create alternative models. Like, we have to. Because they will starve people out. Like, they'll throw away 40% of the food and watch people starve. That's what they will do. These people are maniacal psychopaths. And they're not going to stop. Jefferson writes, anything we do outside of work is turning into therapy. These weekly streams, for example, are really good for me to get the perspective of people who live in the North. Well, one thing I've seen happen is this rise of, like, turn your hobbies into your work, which I find to be disgusting and disgraceful. That the only reason anybody should do anything is for money. Just this absolute despicable worldview. This inhuman worldview. Eggs D writes, the worst part is that most quote-unquote leftists will look the other way instead of standing with China because inter-imperialist conflict bad. Yeah, exactly. No, near as I can tell, the leftists that refuse to stand with China do so because they're Chinese. Like, it's Western chauvinism. Straight up. And you'll find plenty of that in organizations that call themselves leftist. That they just despise China because they're Chinese, and for no other reason. They don't want to hear arguments. They don't want to have a debate. They just want to dismiss China because they're Chinese. And I see it all the time. And I call it out when I see it. Because if you don't actually have a cogent argument, and if you don't actually know anything about the country, and if you're just saying these things, then I question why. Like, why are you talking like an expert on a subject that you're illiterate on and you don't know anything about? And it's because you don't like them because they're Chinese. It's very straightforward. Like, the white supremacist ethos and the white supremacist worldview is deep within the consciousness of Westerners. So even compassionate Westerners who consider themselves on the left still believe that white people are at the apex, right? That it's only white people who can be the teachers. This is why you see all of these white people constantly criticizing countries they know nothing about. Because if a white person criticizes it, it's teaching, and they don't have anything to learn from a non-white country. And that's just the hard truth of how we interact with China. That once you accept that when it comes to the subject of Marxism, the Chinese are the experts, the Chinese are the masters, the Chinese are the teachers, right? And you actually start learning from them as though they are the teachers, then you can actually see the brilliance of what they have done. And you can actually see how intelligent and how wise their leadership has been as it's moved through time, and how strong and powerful their organizing structures are, structurally, how strong they are. John says, I met a big-time beekeeper over the phone the other day. Oh, fantastic. I'm hoping one day I'll be a big-time beekeeper. I don't actually care to be a big-time beekeeper. I think just being a nice, small-scale beekeeper would be nice. If I get any amount of honey out of it, I'll be happy. Content writes, I have a coworker from an island nation that moved here in a red state a couple years ago. I'm actually genuinely scared for him. He isn't an antisocial asshole, a very community-minded guy, hard worker, but... yeah, I mean... I think people should be really considering getting the fuck out of America. I think people should really be considering that. That should be something that everybody should think about and think very hard about. Like, America is going full-blown Nazi. Full-blown. Like, we're going to see the kooky costumes. We're going to see the focus on symbols. The cross is the front runner. We're going to see all of the pageantry, all of the decadence, all of the ridiculousness. Trump has already tried it once, right? With his dumbass military parade. But soon there will be true believers. Soon there will be people who are going to do that military parade going rah, 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 hoorah, right? It's all coming. And there's no serious, there's no institution that is aligning itself against it. There's no organization that's actually interested in preventing it from happening. That the only organizations that exist they just want to be the leaders of it, right? They just want to be the person who is the face of the Nazi party. Like, the corporate power structure has aligned itself against humanity. And we're just watching it happen. Mark writes, very true. Even when I became a socialist early on, I disliked China due to this reason. I was really ingrained with American exceptionalism. Yeah, I admire China more than I ever had before. After reading The Governance of China, it really made my mind explode. Yeah, I mean, who knew that creating a plan and then enacting the plan would be a good governing strategy? Who knew that accurately finding the center of power and protecting the power center, the means of production, would be important, right? Who knew? Like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, right? That this moment between China and America is a moment when two competing theories went head to head, and one theory obviously won. Very straightforwardly. One theory said that power emanates from finance. Financial power is power. The other theory said, well, financial power is a power, certainly, but the means of production is the true power. That's the center of power. Who controls the means of production? And one won, and another lost. Fairly straightforwardly. And what this has created here in the West, the losing side, is a religious ideology. That now the theory has been discredited. The theory of neoliberal economics has been discredited. Or trickle-down economics, if you prefer, has been discredited. And so now everyone has to continue propping it up as a religion and as a religious idea, because it can't be maintained scientifically anymore. There's no evidence for it. It doesn't exist as a scientific idea anymore. Just how, like, phrenology doesn't exist as a scientific idea anymore. It's not something anybody takes seriously. And that if it wasn't for the fact that neoliberal economics was intertwined with power in the society, it would have already vanished. It would have vanished decades ago. People would have gone like, oh, that's wrong, obviously. So we should pursue something that's correct. But now our institutions are just loaded with people who still believe in this religious ideology, and it doesn't matter how disproven it can be. They're just doubling down on it. And even worse, the people they train to replace them once they retire are true believers. So the West will continue its decline, and America ultimately will fracture and break apart over it, because you can't build a society this way. You can't have a civilization this way. You need unifying projects. You need people to be collectively invested in what is called the common good to have a civilization. And our leaders are not interested in a civilization. That when Margaret Thatcher said there's no such thing as society, she meant it, because she was a psychopath, a self-interested psychopath. And we should have taken it more seriously then, and we should have been arming ourselves then. Instead, now it's entrenched so badly that now we're just utterly dominated by corporate power structures that are actively attempting to murder us for money. And it's active at this point. They're doing it on purpose. Oh, I had a really nice meme for this. Did I bring it up? No, I'm going to find it. Because it really illustrates pretty perfectly how I think of really what's going on now. Yeah. Bayer is a pharmaceutical company. Monsanto is a pesticide company. Bayer bought Monsanto. Bayer makes drugs for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Monsanto makes chemicals called glyphosate to spray on food crops. Glyphosate causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Essentially, everything is going this way, where psychopathic corporations will create problems for us and then sell us the solution to the problems they create. And if the solution can also create a new set of problems that they can then sell us the solution for, they'll do that too. And this is the type of society that we are building. We're building a society where the most powerful institutions are harvesting us for money that they worship. Mark Jr. writes, I'm thinking about leaving America. I'd love to go back to Puerto Rico with my family, but it's even worse there. ICE raids are destroying neighborhoods in an occupied nation that didn't even ask for it. I could get Spanish citizenship because of my Puerto Rican residency, but I don't know if it's even safe to go to the EU. John writes, I have extended family in Scandinavia. Very tempting. I am ashamed to be an American now. Conton writes, something funny about Democrats. For all their quote-unquote lawful measured resistance, they fail to realize the program of U.S. fascists will be anti-Democrat. So why Dem rank and file aren't forceful, like they're going to become Democrats for less? Never mind building unions and community organizing. Never mind building dual contending power. Just being a lib will be a crime. Basically, I'm just saying they may as well be more radical. If being a Democrat can get you condemned, you really should just go full tanky. I'm talking about the Dem base, not the politicians. Hull writes, can't believe they finally passed the fucking bill. For just a glimmering moment, it looked like there was going to be 5 to 8 members that were considering swinging in the other direction and saying no. I suspect they just had their families threatened, and it was that simple. Like, these guys are Nazis, right? Like, they're going to send a CIA spook into your apartment and be like, hey, vote yes or we shoot you and your family. Real straightforward. Like, we're not looking at a... Like, I don't know why we're pretending. I don't know why we're pretending like some of these people are not living under the threat of a gun. Like, that's pretty clear what's going on. Yeah, Bayer, also an ex-Nazi company. Yep. Silverlight, good to see you, my man. Silverlight writes, unifying projects like AI LLMs, which will make power unaffordable for the soon-to-be unemployed workers. Ah, the corporate circle of death. Yep. Like, this is a collapse moment, right? I said it earlier, it's worth restating, especially because we now have a new set of viewers. Like, I am here to comment on the decline of Western civilization. And here is a collapse moment. This isn't the typical, like, slow, steady decline that you get under Democrats and liberals. Where, you know, they do as much war adventurism overseas, and they erect genocides and murder children, right? Like, that's become common boilerplate. Now this is the society actively turning against itself. This is millions and millions of people basically being told, go fuck yourself. And best of all, and this is the best part, is that it's for absolutely nothing. That the people who are supposedly supposed to be the ones gaining, they already have so much that they won't even notice. Like, if you have $1 billion, getting an extra $2 million is unnoticeable. You will not feel the change. But that's not what it's about. It's about making people suffer. That's what it's about. that these people get off on making people suffer. And to believe anything else at this point is to just put the clown mask on, man. Like, just be a clown. Like, these people want people to suffer. That their lives are so hollow and empty and meaningless, even as they stand atop their supposed hierarchy, even as they claim victory as the leaders of civilization, and yet they're empty, hollow people. They have no souls. They sacrificed their humanity for money. And so the only way they can get any kind of thrills is by torturing people. Jefferson writes, let's pretend this game is real. Biden had kingly powers objectively. He could have had Trump vanish and no justice system could have done anything. Yeah, but they're allies. Right? They're only competing for a position. Right? They're both allies. Right? And they fundamentally understand that they can't really meaningfully turn against one another. Right? Like that's why you see like George W. Bush getting rehabilitated by Ellen, right? Like that's why you see these like obvious war criminals who should be hung at the Hague get treated with respect. Right? That when Jimmy Carter dies, all of the psychopaths gather and pay honor to their fellow psychopath. Like they understand that they're not to turn against one another. They know that. And that reveals the nature of the dictatorship of capital. That we live in a class dictatorship, and that dictatorship is the dictatorship of capital. And it's not going to change because we want it to, or because we ask nicely. Scary times we're in, says Mark. Yeah. Jefferson writes, Dems let it all happen because they obviously can't break their own illusion that this game is real. Yeah, I mean, I think that a big reason why the system works the way it does is because you have well-meaning people. And I do think that there are well-meaning people. Like, I don't think it's all just cynical spycraft. I think that there are people that get into it and they are like well-meaning people, but they live in a limited scope. That there is a limited, like, you'll never see, like, AOC isn't a communist, right? Like, the best you will ever see come out of the Democratic Party is the idea of Keynesian economics, essentially. That we should maintain the system of capital and allow the ruling class to still be the ruling class, but we should make them pay their taxes, right? We shouldn't incarcerate them, imprison them, send them to the Hague. We shouldn't strip them of all their assets, render them impoverished, and tell them they no longer have a voice in our political sphere. No. We want to increase their taxes by 2%. That's the best you're ever going to get. Because, and even when that happens, like, now things have gotten so rapacious and incredulous that even standing up and saying, I want to raise billionaires' taxes by 2%, is met with like assassination threats. Right? Like it's completely over. And it's going to get so much worse. I just don't think that people fully understand exactly how much worse it's going to get. That we're still, like, the roller coaster is still going up. Click, 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 click. We haven't even gone over. We're not even over. This is all just click, 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 click. Like, we haven't seen the public executions yet. We haven't seen the rounding up of women and children and being locked into churches and then burning the churches down. We haven't seen the return of lynching yet. Like, we haven't seen millions of people in destitution. And it's coming. John writes, too many Americans are busy and comfortable to realize what's happening. I mean, Americans are the most propagandized people in the world. And it's not close. It's not close at all. That they live in a cage of illusion. And that cage has limited their capacity to even imagine a different world. That they're not even allowed to enter abstraction. They're not even allowed to imagine anything outside of the world that they live in. That the capitalist class understands that imagination and abstraction is where the dangerous territory lies. And so they try to seize control of that. That's why they say that capitalism is the end of history. Yeah, Americans think they're comfortable. Most are living paycheck to paycheck, exactly. And Americans who read are few and far between, exactly. Like, we are looking at an unstoppable collapse at this point. And so the question isn't, how do we stop it? In many ways, I'm quite glad that that's no longer the question. It removes a lot of that anxiety and angst from me, because I used to believe it could be stopped. And it could have been, I think. It could have been. If we had have armed ourselves 20 years ago and seized control 20 years ago, it could have been. But it's over now. That now the question isn't how do we stop it? The question is, how do we cope with it? How do we deal with it? How do we just live our day-to-day lives? How do we manage it? How do we live through it? Because now we're no longer living for ourselves. Now we're living to tell the story of what happened to the people who come behind us. To say to them, this is how the Nazis returned. They came clutching Bibles. They came worshiping Christ. They came claiming that the best way to build a society was to abandon the society. So that generation by generation, as children gain enough awareness to be able to say, why are things the way they are? We will be there to say, we began to worship money. We were a people that worshipped money. That we stopped worshiping existence. We stopped giving praise to reality. We stopped considering our position and our place within reality and our place within a collective, and started believing in a religion of individuality and a religion of money worship. where success was something that could be measured, where the measurement tool became the method to decide who is or is not good. And it does hearten me to see that there are voices, unexpected voices sometimes, that are beginning to articulate the disaster. Bill Burr is one such voice. It's just kind of coming out of left field. Even someone like Theo Vaughn. Just like strange places to start seeing people be like, oh yeah, maybe we should actually care about one another. Maybe we should actually begin to think and contemplate on the idea that the collective good is the individual good. But the real truth we have a fellow by the name of Cheese Gimbap 21, fellow Canadian here, sad to see how our country is going. Yeah, it is. The real truth of what happens to the West is that as we decline, we'll begin the process of breaking apart. That it'll be the states that goes first. It'll start small. Like Guam. Right? Little island nations here and there will start to break off. The American empire has already begun its retreat. They've already started no longer sending military aid to Ukraine. They're already beginning the retreat on that line. They're not interested in fighting this war with Iran. Slowly, American power, they're not funding their propaganda networks anymore. Right? Radio Free Asia is folding. A true blessing to all of us. That all of the wealth that they have been using to prop up their foreign empire, they are now funneling into their domestic control network, which is your ICE agents. And you can't maintain a society that way. That you can't successfully have a society of Nazis. It's just the opposite of civilization. And so the American empire will break apart. Yeah, Mark Jr., I think the whole idea of birthright citizenship being up to individual states is the beginning of balkanizing in the U.S. Yeah, oh, absolutely. And you're just going to have some states that are going to become safe states for immigrants, and some states that are just going to become wastelands. And eventually the states that don't want to be organizing with slave states are going to say, hey, like, the states that are most likely to be slave states moving forward are the ones that take the most from the federal government. That if you're a state like California, You pay Alabama, you pay Florida, and Florida is erecting, and Alabama and Mississippi and all the southern states are erecting pro-slave state legislation. That's what this birthright citizenship is all about, is to just make to resurrect slavery, right? And so you're just going to have an independence movement based exclusively on the idea that, like, we're not paying for a country to own, or for a state to own slaves. That's not what this country is about. And then you're also going to have billionaires funding independence movements because they no longer want to pay federal taxes. That eventually the federal government is going to have to raise taxes simply to have basic functions, keep the lights on. And the billionaires will, instead of spending, 0.01% of their fortune, they'll spend 5% of their fortune to have their independence. And they'll get it. And you'll have, like, Musktopia, right? Bezosville. And the whole thing will just fall apart. Like, you can't build a civilization on slavery. You just can't do it. It doesn't actually work in the long term. Teal Town, I like that one. Silverlight says, oh crap, I never thought about it that way. Now that they've shifted it to domestic, the ICE designation are just another 3 letters. Oh yeah. Like, what do you think they're doing? Like, they're literally tripling ICE's budget. Like, ICE is going to become a domestic military force, a domestic federal military force. It's going to be a secret police, right? It'll just disappear people. Like, that's what it's going to be for. And it's and so the American empire is going to start to disappear on the foreign stage, right? And a big reason why the American empire is receding on the foreign stage is because it's no longer really being effective, right? It's no longer really achieving its goals. It hasn't been achieving its goals for quite some time. And now you have a new way of thinking. Like, the neocons are leaving power, and what's coming in is a new guard of people. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a seizure of domestic power through ICE and Homeland Security. Right? They'll basically be a Gestapo that rules through terror. Pretty straightforwardly. People will disappear. They have their alligator Alcatraz, their alligator Auschwitz. And my gut tells me that the goal for the Nazis moving forward is to begin to wage war on South America. That these guys are really asking themselves, why are we bothering with the Middle East? Like, why are we wasting our time in the Middle East? Why are we wasting time even in Africa? Like, South America's right there. The largest oil deposit on the planet is in Venezuela. Like, what are we doing here? We should be invading Venezuela. We should be destroying Brazil. We should be destroying Latin America. Like, I don't know why we're wasting any amount of time in Africa or the Middle East. Like, what are we doing? And, like, if China's done, like, if we can't do anything about China, then, like, leave them to it. Leave them to it. And because they're Nazis, they assume that everybody else is Nazis, right? That evil can't see good. Evil doesn't understand the motivations of good. Evil doesn't understand that. Evil just sees evil, and evil believes that evil will always be evil, and everyone will operate in the same way. That the selfish don't understand the selfless. And so these people think that by receding from China and beginning the process of destroying Latin America, which is what they will do, because they've done it before, that China will do the same to their surrounding neighbors. That the job of destroying the Middle East will become China's job now. Ong says, sorry about your relationship woes. I also hate to admit it, but I find you more informative when you're upset. Then I must be the most goddamn informative person on the internet right now. John writes, how did John's date go? Did I miss that earlier? All right, guys. Here's the story. I don't think I can give much by way of details because I believe very strongly in consent. There is a really lovely woman who I have had a wonderful time with and wonderful conversations with as she has been visiting family in Canada. She lives in America. She says that she's going to be moving to Canada, but and I wish I had it in me to just be one of these people who was like, I could keep things airy and casual and light. I'm just not. And it makes all this more personal. To know someone and to talk to someone who is experiencing it firsthand and somebody who my heart goes out to. And it just makes me shake my head and go like, how come I can't just have a nice time with somebody that just like lives in Toronto? Why is it always some kind of fucking story with me? Why is there always like some kind of barrier? Why is there something? And it just seems like that's the way it is when it comes to dating. That there's just always something. Like it can't just be we meet, we have a nice time, we like each other, we get on well. It's just got to be something. And dating in this environment. Dating in the environment of fascism. Dating with the Nazis around. Everyone's scared. Everyone's terrified. Eggsy, I don't, like, look, Eggsy writes, anxiety towards the opposite sex has skyrocketed. I don't think, like, people displace their emotions, right? That's pretty common. And it makes sense that one of the big lightning rods in the society for that anxiety to appear is in sex and between the sexes. It makes sense that that is where it would manifest. And when you're talking about the anxiety of Nazism, right? It's going to manifest in the dating world. It's going to manifest in between the sexes. Like, for me personally, like, I have lines, and I just have lines that I'm not going to cross. So, like, 50% of Canadians are either in favor of or have no opinion of the Palestinian genocide. So already it's like, okay, 50% of the populace is undateable from my perspective. The belief in climate change is also 50-50. Like, I consider those people undateable. I'm not going to go through this climate change catastrophe with a person who is constantly pretending it's not happening. And that's just like two things. And so when I find a person that's not only like understands those things are real, but are also fighting, are also struggling against them in real and serious ways, oh boy, is that attractive to me. Like a person who has managed to make their living fighting against, fighting for climate change reform, or fighting for DEI, or fighting against these Nazis. Oh boy, is that attractive to me. And I just feel like I'm willing to tolerate a lot when I find a person like that. I'm willing to be patient and I'm willing to wait. But man, is it hard. There's always been a part of me that is so jealous of people who live in a state of ignorance. They seem so much happier. Ignorance is bliss. Sometimes I wish that I just could be that person that just watches Marvel movies and doesn't think about them. Just a person who can watch Starship Troopers and be like, people killing bugs. And not really see like, oh, this movie has like a really strong anti-fascist message. It's like, it's right there. I just wish that I could just wake up and go to a job and feel like I'm contributing to something meaningful and just bump along, not think about things so much. And I've tried. Lord knows I've tried. I've had periods of time where I've decided no more, not going to do this anymore, the news, not going to pay any attention, just going to live my life and try to do my best. And for a moment it worked. For just a moment. And then it didn't. And then it got hard. And that sense of isolation. That sense of feeling like I'm the only person that thinks this way. And that there might be something wrong with me. And looking back on my life, I think to myself, I wish I had have pushed even harder. I saw these Nazis coming a long way off. I wish I had have pushed harder. I wish I had have prepared sooner. I wish I could have been more convincing, more persuasive somehow. And now here they are. This is just the first batch of them. John writes, be advised you can't display a forlorn attitude with women and expect progress with them. Stolid conviction works. Yeah, I mean, it's the curse of being a man. You're not allowed to have emotions. Right? Men are allowed to be one of two things, which is, and I think Bill Burr nailed this, you're allowed to be fine or you're allowed to be angry. You can't have emotions. Because we are all inherently fascist, right? Emotions are weakness. You can't be vulnerable. Oh, God help you if you cry. And I don't blame individuals for it. It's a system. We live in a system. And that system hits home. And it's personal. And it manifests itself in this exhausting manosphere where their heroes are literally pedophiles and Nazis and sex traffickers. And women are terrified. They choose the bear. And of course they're terrified. Fascism is terrifying. And the men don't know what to do. Because all the men know how to be is terrifying. They don't know how to be gentle. They don't know how to be loving. And even if they do know, you have to convince a woman that you are. That you're not just tricking them. And so it's a sad and sorry state. And it manifests itself in a population decline. No one can have kids. No one can afford more than 2. Like, I know people who are at the top of their fields, at the absolute apex, that if they were promoted any higher, they would be the people running the entire institution. And both husband and wife are in that position. They can afford 2 children. My brother has said to me straight out that he would have like 100 kids if he could afford it. So he has 2. And these are people that have sacrificed everything. They've sacrificed their entire life to get this job, to build this life, this chaotic, ridiculous, difficult life, so that they can have these children. And they can have 2. John says, my urge to have kids was terrified out of me by alcoholic parents. Yeah, I've just never had that urge to have children. It's just not part of me. It's just not in me. I just don't care for it. I just have always intrinsically understood what my role in all of this is. And that I don't think I would be setting a child up for success. I think it would be a difficult life. Well, on that happy note, guys, I think I'm going to end this one. I just don't have the spoons. It's too much to look at sometimes. There's like a burning. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking around and I'm just on fire. And it's just a smoldering burn. And I can feel it. And I know doing this stream is not going to be enough. Venting the flame out here is one day not going to be enough. And I know that that's true. Always remember, guys, each and every one of you is a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes you'll never realize it. You'll just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Rebel. Revolt. Repent. Good luck. We're gonna need it.